I own two companies. One's a hardware company and one's a software company. So I kind of see solutions in e-business from both levels, from both a hardware level, what it takes, what kind of infrastructure it takes to put that together, but also what kind of software that it takes to put this together. And my emphasis today is going to be on e-business. What is e-business? There's not really a definition. We're going to try to touch on some definitions today. But let's start with one definition of e-business, which is e-commerce. And that's pretty much the ability to buy and sell goods over the internet. And that's becoming more and more prevalent as we look across the country, that a brick and mortar store is going to have to make sure that they do have an online presence, because our society is getting very lazy as this technology moves faster. And eventually, if we're looking to buy, let's say, a shovel, just for, it's summer, we're going to do a little gardening, we're going to be so lazy, we're going to go to Yahoo, Yellow Pages, we're going to look up the hardware stores in Amarillo, Texas, or wherever it might be, and we're actually going to shop for that shovel before we ever get in the car to go get it. So what a lot of brick and mortar stores need to look at is that they need to be on the internet, because in 5 years, if they're not going to be brick and mortars anymore. So that's very hard for brick and mortar stores to know, because I just did a show in New York City back in December, which was the National Retail Federation, which are all brick and mortar stores. And you would be amazed at what their solution is to the internet. Fight it as hard as you can. There's companies out there selling software packages for the internet that drive people to the brick and mortars, which is okay. But those companies that drive them to the brick and mortars don't sell the products over the internet. So you need to have a good balance of both of those, so that when somebody, let's say I'm a brick and mortar and my site is primarily designed to drive people to it, I want to make sure I can take that order if they don't decide to go that next step. And I think that's where a lot of the retail stores across the country are having a problem. And I definitely saw it at this show, because you tell them I've got some e-commerce software that will get you up on the internet, and we don't want to be on the internet. And it's very scary how many small businesses think that way. And of course that's changing. What is e-business? E-business is the use of internet technologies to bring together customers, business partners, suppliers, and employees. It's actually the ability to run your whole business over the internet from anywhere. And this is what we're all going to be going to, whether you're small mom and pop or whether you're a big Fortune 1000. You're going to need to run everything right now over the internet. There's two major components of e-business, and some of it relates with selling, some of it relates with customer relations, but I don't know if you've heard of a term called CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. It's not a new term. We've been using it for years. It's just customer service. It's kind of a fancy way to say customer service. I've got a definition here that was very hard to find on the internet, because there was not one. I don't think that anybody could actually define what it is, but customer relationship management is a business strategy to select and manage customers to optimize long-term value. Okay? CRM requires a customer-centric business philosophy and culture processes. CRM applications can enable effective customer relationship management, provided that an enterprise has the right leadership strategy and culture. A lot of people don't even, is that really specific? What it comes down to is what CRM is, what we've done forever. Good customer relations. Somebody calls on the phone, following up good with them. And now it's even more difficult, because when you're trying to ask people to do business online, they can't see you. And how many websites have you been if there's no phone number? It's just a website. And people are still placing orders over that website. Of course, it's the people that have a lot of faith in the internet. But that's what one part has to be integrated. And a lot of small, older companies use older systems to keep that information. And until recently, those systems set separately. Let's go into ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning. Then I'm going to tell you how both those function together. A business management strategy, it's a business management strategy that integrates all facets of the business, including planning, manufacturing, sales, and marketing. As the ERP mythology has become more popular, software applications have emerged to help businesses implement ERP. You know what an easy word for ERP is? Your accounting module, and a few other modules that help you integrate and interact with your customer. For years, though, you would have, somebody would call into your helpline and they would be getting to your CRM. The lady would answer the phone, who are you, whatever. And 90% of the time, that database doesn't even interface with the ERP or accounting. So over the years, we've kind of gotten two monsters out there. We have what runs the business as the accounting, helps do the marketing, helps do the sales. Then you have another system that follows up on customer responses. But the problem is if you don't merge all those systems together, you're losing a lot of data because you don't know how many times this customer, because this customer may be in 10 different databases in your company. Now the future is to merge all those into one system. And it's almost vital that you do that. What you see is there's companies like PeopleSoft, SAP, are now getting into CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. In the past, they've been in accounting functions that run huge organizations. So one of the things that we did at InternetCommerce.com is we looked at this problem and noticed that there was a lot of people, smaller businesses, that could not even afford this kind of implementation, because we're talking, if you're doing an SAP installation, you're talking maybe 1.5 million to start and 20 million over 5 years. Well, small business can't afford that, but a small business can't afford to get behind the technology. And what we did is we wrote a package. It's actually an accounting package with CRM and an ERP built together. But what's nice is it runs everything on one database. When somebody calls into your help desk, you can look them up just because it's coming from the same customer database as the accountant. And everything's tied together. And that's what we've tried to do as a company to make it easier for people to get online. Predictions for internet e-business. If I could describe it in one word, unimaginable. The sky's the limit. There's no way that I can predict what's going to happen 6 months from now. And all we know is that we've got to be ready. We've got to be ready now. And yes, you may make some wrong decisions along the way. And some of the points I'm going to make in a minute, you probably will make some of the wrong decisions. But the key is right now you do need a presence out there, and you need to be taking orders over the internet right now. You can't wait 6 months, you can't wait 8 months, you can't wait a year. There are going to be standards come down, but you may have to evolve as those standards come across. But the key is right now, because who's in it now is who's going to be around 2 years from now, and not 5 years from now. Total worldwide e-commerce for 2003 was first predicted at $1 trillion by 2003. The revised estimates, $1 trillion by 2001. Looks like we're going to exceed that. The next estimate was $2.8 trillion by 2003. And then they came back 2 weeks later and said, we were way wrong. We don't know what's going to be 2003, but we figured 2004 is $7.28 trillion. That amounts to a lot of commerce over the internet. And I don't care if you're mom and pop, you still need to be ready. And there's solutions out there, and I'll go over a few of those today. Solutions as low as $50 and as high as $1.5 million. And I've been involved in working from the $50 ones all the way to the $1 million ones. And the software we designed allows you to go up from any of those seamlessly, because they all use the same database. The $50 package uses the same database as the $1 million package, which allows a lot of expandability. Anyway, rules of the e-business. These are some of the rules that Ziff Davis said, which I don't know if you're familiar with Ziff Davis. They're one of the largest publishers in the country. They publish PC Magazine, used to publish Computer Shopper until it went totally online. Number one, relationships matter. The most important e-business solutions help you improve your relationship with customers, suppliers, and employees. Eventually, what you're going to look at is your vendors are going to be able to come online and help you place orders with them. Or you're going to be able to go online and place orders with them seamlessly. The phone communication is going to cease to a large extent. Size matters. Big companies are going to be winners. We've seen that in Amazon.com, even though Amazon.com has no revenue model. I'll buy a book for $10, I'll sell it for $8. Boy, wish I could last a long time like that. Small companies in a niche can be survivors too, but most companies are in between. And it's hard. And that's why it's so important that you get an internet strategy right now. That's why it's very important that you come up with one now. And you're not going to come up with a perfect one. And there's several consultants out there. Some of them are going to be right, some are going to be wrong. But you're going to have to dive in and do it. Velocity matters. A quick solution is sometimes more important than the perfect solution, which is what I'm telling you here. You need to be on there tomorrow as opposed to waiting for the perfect solution, which may be 2 years from now. Because 2 years from now, 50% of America may be buying online and not coming in your brick and mortar. So Velocity matters. You need to get a solution that works, even if it's a temporary solution. Integration matters. The ideal e-business solution to work for your whole business, not just one department. That kind of goes back to the software that I designed when my idea in mind is that your same over-the-counter sales are in the same exact database as your web sales. And it's just as easy for me to look at page through invoices in New York City as it is for my retail store in Los Angeles to do it. And that's the power that you're going to see come out over the next five years. Actually, over the next 2 years. And you're going to be able to look at that data in unbelievable fashion. Technology matters, existing systems matter, but they don't want to dictate your solution. In other words, if the best solutions are on IBM and you're only a Mac shop, you might want to have to move to IBM or vice versa, if that's what it takes. So you need to not let what you've got now dictate what you do on the internet. The internet, it goes over many platforms. So as far as the front end portion of your website, it's browsable by any type of browser. Partners matter. When choosing an e-business solution, you want a partner that's going to stick around and one that you can trust. Because you're in bed with them. And you're very much in bed with them. There's a little bit of things to look at when you're looking at that. One of the features of the software I developed last year is the fact that you don't need a webmaster. And I like to tell people that what's nice about it is if you have a webmaster, you're a web slave. You pretty much have to go to them every time you change something. My software has unlimited pages so that the person that we design a site for, once we finish designing the site, you're through with us. We turn over the site to you, and you add as many pages or as many products as possible. So when you're looking at a feature to build an e-commerce site, you want to look at that because most of these people charge $50 to $100 an hour. And if you might take a cheap solution, let's say that's a $500 solution, but every time you add a product, you pay him $100 more. And you may wind up that's a lot more of a solution than putting out maybe $3,500 to get the right solution that you control all the pages. So you need to look at that when you're looking at it because that's your partner. And the more control that partner will let you have of the site, the better off you're going to be. No matter what technology it is. Because I can give you some examples of where we do sites for some of the places, a lot of our clients are in New York City, but we have some here in Amarillo, that they would ask somebody to change an item. And I could give you a couple of examples, and they wanted to put an event on their webpage. Sure, no problem, we'll get the event up there. Well, 2 weeks after the event, there it is, right there on the front page. Because you're at their mercy to put that on there. And that's one of the things you need to look for when coming up with a solution. Uptime matters. You want something that's reliable because this is 24/7. I'm having this problem right now because I used to backing up my servers at 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. However, 50% of my clients are in New York City area, on the East Coast. Well, that's when they're getting up and starting to put things on their website. So I've moved it back to 3. Well, that's 1 o'clock California time, so my 2 customers in California are yelling at me because I'm taking their website down at 1 o'clock. And you have to kind of have a happy medium, but when you're looking for something for your own site, you want to make sure that you look at their uptime. Security matters. Make sure that you keep your information private. There's a new movement on the internet to keep your information private. In the old days, it was great. You could network and trade email addresses and trade addresses. Now it's looked at spam. So one of the most revolutionary marketing tools in the world, which is mass mail. You get the internet and you say, oh my gosh, this is even greater than mass mail because it's email. It doesn't cost me anything. I send as many as I want. Now they've got laws against spam. So you've got to look at your security and also have a policy in place for that. Flexibility matters. You need to be able to listen to your suppliers, your customers, and react to them in times that you could only dream of before. In other words, solutions need to be made in minutes, not hours or days. So you need to make sure whatever solution that you implement on the net can be moved at that kind of speed. If you have a major problem, you put a product on special or something and it's the wrong product or something, and you have a webmaster that has to change that. If it takes 5 days, how much business can you lose? Because people have hit your site and you don't have, and there's a mistake. Bottom line matters. While retail businesses increase revenues, B2B business can reduce cost. Go for the maximum gain and the least amount of reduction. Basically, when you go into e-commerce too, bottom line matters. Go into it as a profit. You may first go into it as a loss leader, but your ultimate goal in an online strategy needs to be to make a profit. Or what you're going to see here is companies like Boo.com did a IPO last year and raised $120 million. Had the most unbelievable website. They were out of UK. You know what they sold their technology for that they developed for $120 million? $372,000. If you don't have a profit strategy, you're not going to be in business. So keep that in mind when you're going online, is that you need to have some kind of profit strategy, or what you're going to find out is you're going to be left behind. Every business, no matter how big and small, needs to have a web presence by 2000, really by the end of the year. It was almost imperative that they have it by the end of last year. Solutions. Currently, it takes different companies to come up with different solutions. Software developers like InternetCommerce.com, you've got Ariba, Commerce One, BroadVision, Alaris Cold Fusion are just some of the solutions that are out there that allow you to manage the site yourself. E-commerce integrators like InternetCommerce.com, Razorfish, and Agency. Razorfish and Agency are the two largest web developers in the United States, and you know what they both do? If you will not spend at least $1 million a year with them, we won't take you. One of them fired Sony because Sony would not listen to them about online internet strategies. Have you ever seen a business that you can fire your customer? And what's fun, what's even more hilarious is that Sony came begging back. And they took them back and redesigned their site. Things that are unique to our solution, just kind of real quick, is that the fact that it allows you to implement it yourself. It's all database driven, so you can add unlimited products. And when somebody clicks on a product line, it will automatically generate from the database. But that's what our solution is. Several of these companies like Commerce One and BroadVision do the exact same thing, except for a small business, their solution starts at $150,000 just to buy the software, and an average site designed with BroadVision is $1.2 million. An average site with Ariba is over $1 million. So it kind of puts a small business at a disadvantage. So you need to be careful when you're looking and find a solution that really works. Conclusion, your company needs to be ready. And if they can, they need to get everything that they can in one package so that you're not trying to run 3 different packages and then trying to coordinate them as a small business. First of all, small business doesn't have enough people to run as it is. They're usually shorthanded. And you don't have a lot of time to sit here and try to integrate 3 different modules to do 3 different things. But time is of the essence, and the only certainty is absolutely uncertainty. We have no clue where tomorrow's going to take us. I can sit up here and predict what personal computers are going to do over the next 5 years. I can predict over the next year what internet commerce is going to do. And I can only guarantee you one thing. I'm going to be 100% wrong, no matter what. So dive in and get ready. It'll be the most exciting trip of your life. Thank you very much.